Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Rivalry for a new Premier League season. And we're back with our match reviews. We're going to begin with the Arsenal versus Chelsea game. So, Imad, new season, same old Arsenal, huh? What do you think of that dismal 2-0 defeat?
Same. I mean, it was just the exact same performance we saw the week before against Brentford. I mean, in terms of tactical awareness from the manager, it's just completely non-existent, and he's just picking up where he left off from last season, basically. I mean, if we just look at the lineup to begin with, I mean, I don't know why we didn't match Chelsea up and go with the back three because like first 15 minutes wasn't terrible. I mean, the players at least looked like they were up for it, like first game back in front of the fans at the Emirates. They at least looked like they wanted to like go out there and like make a point. And you
Hmm.
could see it like the first 10, 15 minutes, like we were up for it. And so, I mean, I can't say that like the players aren't playing for the manager right now because that probably wouldn't be true. But at the end of the day, I just don't think they can wrap their head around what he's trying to do with this team. Like they look confused. He looks confused. There's no pattern of play. And you
Right.
saw like the minute Chelsea opened the scoring. I mean, obviously Lukaku had to come back and open the scoring at like
Right.
on his second debut at the Emirates. Never scored for Chelsea before. Obviously, his first goal comes against Arsenal at
Arsenal,
the
right.
Emirates
Right.
inside 15 minutes, and that was just the pattern for the rest of the game. I mean, you saw how all our defenders were just so worried about Lukaku. I mean, he bossed Pablo Mari.
Oh, dude,
He just
that was bad. It was
and
like it was like a professional footballer against someone who's just gotten out of high school or something. Didn't look like it was two professional players. It was that bad. Like Murray just did not know what to do. And like I think the other issue was like you guys did start pretty brightly. I think the crowd was up for it. There was definitely a zip voucher passing maybe in the first 5 minutes or so, 5, 10 minutes. But it's sad to see how like the moment the goal goes in, everybody's heads dropped, and like you knew there was only going to be one winner from that game, and that's
I
what's
mean,
sad to see.
honestly, from an Arsenal perspective, I mean, when you concede a goal early right now, it's normal for the heads to drop. I mean, the confidence is so low in that camp right now, and it has been for the last year and a half since Arteta kind of. I mean, it was really bad the whole of last season, and I mean, can you believe this? We've never won a game under Arteta when we've been trailing at halftime, and he's been at the club
Right.
for 1.5 years.
Right.
Like, and that this is a top 16 man. Like, I'm sure teams who are in the relegation zone have turned games around when they've been losing at halftime. I mean, the fact that you can't get your players up for it, like even after that halftime team talk. I mean, how many times did we see Emery like turn the game around at like because of his
Right. Made
substitutions and at
changes in
halftime
that
because of his
way.
team talk? And I just don't see it happening with this manager. I mean, like I said, we for the first goal, I mean, that kind of set the whole pattern for the game. I mean, Tierney getting completely like outnumbered on that side. I mean, Saka obviously
let's
was
talk
really not
about
match.
the let's talk about the
Saka wasn't
tactics
match
there.
fit.
Right, but
Yeah,
let's talk
exactly. I
about the
mean, like,
tactics there,
but why?
right? Like in my opinion, right? You know for a fact that Chelsea are going to play with five at the back, and Reece James is going to be bombing down that right wing. So the first thing is who was supposed to pick him up because nobody was picking him up. Tierney was really very narrow, and Reece James had like the entire right wing to himself. No Arsenal man picking him up throughout, right? And Arteta didn't even change it. The first goal happens, change the tactics, tell Saka to drop back a little bit. He refused to change it.
Exactly. I mean, if you're not going to change the actual system or the formation, at least the least you can do is like change, like at least tell your players to like drop back for the next 20 minutes. You're not going to bomb forward. And like
Right.
for this first half, we do not concede again. We keep it at 1-0 because we're shit. We're not going to get anything. We're not going to score two goals. That the best we can hope for is one goal. So the
Mm.
best you can do is keep it at 1-0 for as long as you can for 70, 75 minutes. Keep it tight. Like, and honestly, like Arteta didn't even have to change, make any substitutions to switch it to a back five. All he needed to do was do what he did like plenty of times last season, which was drop Kieran Tierney back into like the back three alongside Holding and Pablo Murray, and
Right.
just switch Bukayo Saka to left wing back. That's all you needed to do. And like the fact that you didn't do that before the game when you know Chelsea are going to play a back three is ridiculous. And the fact that you didn't even change it after like
Right.
even when Chelsea scored their second goal, like they still had chances to make it 3, 4,
It
five
could
nil
have been
from that
three,
right
four
hand side.
easy. Yeah.
It was an
Easy.
absolute joke. And the fact that, I mean, literally the last season, Arsenal's best, the only good thing about our attacks came from the left side, because it was that combination of Tierney and Saka, and they were both off the pace yesterday. And you
Yeah, they
saw,
were
like,
poor. They were poor.
and that shows you, when those two are not playing well and our left hand side isn't pulling the strings, our attack is non-existent. It was virtually non-existent last year. Like, every team knew we wanted to attack from the left, but at least we had that penetration on the left.
Mm.
We could, like, Saka could beat a man, Tierney would be on the overlap, put a cross in, and at least you create a chance, and there's some chance of, like, you scoring a goal. There's nothing going forward. There's no
No,
pattern of
right.
play. I don't see what this manager is trying to do with this team. Like, I don't see, like, with Klopp, like, everyone says, look at Klopp. I mean, it was a 4-year plan. I mean, with Klopp, you saw the high press being implemented with the players he had. I mean, and you can't even say that Arteta hasn't been back now, man. We spent 130 million.
Exactly. I think that
Uh,
has
we're
to that
spending we're spending money on the wrong fucking players. Aaron Ramsdale for
exactly.
30 million. We're not a fucking Man City. We can't be spending 30 million on a second goalkeeper when we don't have a right back. Like
Right.
against Brentford, we were playing Chambers at right back. This week it's Cedric. Next week it's going to be Bellerin, and the week
It's
after it's going to be
ridiculous.
the same cycle again. And he still doesn't know his favorite. That we don't have a fucking right back, and he's. I mean, Nuno Tavares. Okay, you need a second choice left back. Tierney's injured, but we have Kolasinac, we have Tierney. Why are we not spending that 30 million on a right back right now when we desperately need that? Why are we spending 50 million on Ben White when we had the third best defense in the league last year? I thought Arteta had
Right.
fixed the defense,
You should have
and
put
and he's
money in the
signing
midfield.
he's signing Ben White, and, like, we're still playing fucking Pablo Mari and Rob Holding, and Saliba's not there. Like, what is going on, man? Like, these players are clearly not good enough. How is Saliba not good enough? Like, why? Like, every decision Arteta has made has
Been
just gone
wrong. It's been wrong.
completely
Yeah.
wrong,
Think
and
see, I think
there's
it's
nothing.
many issues, man. Many issues with Arsenal at the moment. Like, and I think you don't have people keep talking about giving managers time, right? He's been here for long enough. Today I saw a stat. This is kind of crazy. He's been in charge of 60 plus games now, and I think he's lost 20 or more than that, or more of
Yeah,
those
that's more
games.
than Emery, and
It's
Emery had lost less
ridiculous.
games when he had been sacked, and everyone, like, for some reason, hated Emery and wanted him out. Like, it's
Right.
just like, this guy doesn't even have a CV to,
Exactly.
back him up. There's
There's just no point in sticking with him. I know it's early in the season, it's only 2 games. He has a lot of big players out, but nothing's gonna change. We've seen enough of, like, even if you had your full
the
starting
sad.
team, you're gonna lose to Chelsea. They're a good
Yeah,
side, and
I'm not having this bullshit that we've got. Like, I mean, we do have a lot of injuries, but I'm not having it, man. Like, it's just like last year he had the team that he wanted, and he finished eighth. Like,
right.
I've seen enough of this manager last year to not want to give him the benefit of the doubt this year. I don't want to give him more time. I don't want to waste, like the prime of, like, all our young players and Aubameyang's last year where he could be good. I don't want to waste it with him trying to find his feet, man. Like, I'm sick of, like, as an Arsenal fan, like, we've been fucking waiting, like, for years now for, like, success and or
Mm.
anything, like some kind of progression, and it's just not happening under this manager. And, like, I refuse. Like, time. Everyone says give him time. Time is the most fucking, like, it's the most hard to come by commodity for football managers, like, in today's
Right.
day and age. But for Arteta,
Right.
he seems to have unlimited time. Like,
No,
it's
and
just
he
ridiculous.
then there's no base also. You'd give him time if you saw some reason to give him time. Give me one reason to give Arteta time based on what you've seen in the past 18
There isn't
months.
a
Is
reason.
the football beautiful? No. Are the results good? No. Has he improved any footballers? No. Like, you're not moving forward. You've only gone backwards. And
Yeah.
it's long enough to see.
Last year you had that argument that he'd improved the defense and, like, these big games against Chelsea when he was doing that. But, like,
Right.
he was just naive against Chelsea. I mean, those were the kind of games that, I mean, we would lose to Brentford last year and then go beat Chelsea after that. That's the kind of season we were having last year.
Right. Right.
And, like, the fact that he has lost, like, his way in the big games as well, and the fact that we don't even, like, we literally look like it was men against boys. At least, like, last year against the big teams, we had a game plan. We were struggling to break teams down, weaker teams, when they parked the bus against us, but we were still able to, like, contain big teams and, like, hit them on the
Right.
break.
Be solid at the
Done. We
back. Yeah.
can't even do that anymore. And that was the only fucking USP that he had. Like, now there's literally nothing that this manager has for us to want to keep him anymore. There's nothing. And I mean, we've got City next week. I guess he's not going to get sacked though, man, because he's just been backed. I mean, obviously I want the Cronkies out, but I know for a fact that they're not fucking picking the team. They're not buying the players that, like, he's picking, and, like, they're not picking the tactics. He's
Right.
the, like, they can pick another manager. I mean, I told you a couple of years ago I wouldn't mind Nuno from Wolves. Like, I mean, he
And
would have done a
you can already see, right? So Spurs, nothing's changed. I know it's only 2 games, but 6 points in 2 games. That's what a good manager does. The Tottenham squad, yeah,
without
without
Kane.
Kane, and the Tottenham squad is not better than Arsenal's. Maybe you can argue some of their starting 11 is better than Arsenal's because they've got Kane, they've got Son and stuff. But like the Tottenham squad isn't really better than Arsenal's in my opinion anymore with the money that Arsenal have spent. And I'm almost certain that if Nuno took over this Arsenal team, you'd be doing better than you are than you have been under
Definitely, man.
Arteta.
Bro,
100%.
even if Sean Dyche took over this Arsenal team, he would play to our strengths. I mean,
Yeah, right.
like,
Like you
there's no
just
denying that.
there you can clearly see an inexperienced manager is this is what you're going to get. And there were moments in that Chelsea game, the camera zoomed in on Arteta. He had no idea what was going on. He just had his head in his hands, and like you could just see he doesn't know what to change. He looks like a man out of ideas at this point, and I think the sooner you guys get rid of him, the better it
I mean,
is
you
for.
can see it in his post-match interviews as well. I mean, he openly admits that Chelsea were the better team. I mean, when the fuck did, like, I mean, on paper, yes, they are the better team, but like
Right.
it's not like you can put up a team that can fucking give them a way tougher time than you did. I mean, he's just holding his hands up and accepting, yeah, they're the better team. We've got 9 players out. This is obviously going to happen. And
Right.
he was obviously asked the question, like, do you think like you can turn this around when you have everyone else? And he obviously said he can. But I mean, I'm going to be honest, if he has that full starting 11, and if he's not picking up results with Ben White and Gabriel at the back, with Tierney, and bar 1 or 2 players with Thomas Partey in the middle, with Aubameyang. If he's not picking up results with that team, that's what you judge him on. And I mean, it's going to be very soon. We're going to find out very soon. 3, 4 weeks
It's
down the line, we're going to know whether this guy can
do it or
even
not.
whether he
Yeah.
can even get us into the top 6. I mean, because the squad has improved on paper. They're his signings.
Right.
He's one striker away from having his entire starting 11. He's spent
Right.
around 200 million since he's been at the
Right.
club.
You have to be finishing
Um,
in the top six. I think if you've spent 200 million, couple of years into your tenure, you got to be doing better now. And I think
Yeah,
like
and like I mean, we didn't even talk about any individual performances because like I'm sick of talking about individual performances. We know what
so
players are
poor.
capable of and which players aren't capable of. And like we know with Xhaka, I mean, like we just gave him a fucking contract extension. He was shit.
Hmm.
Like he made a guy who was playing his second game in the Premier League and Sambi Lokonga look brilliant. I mean, he was brilliant,
Lukaku
Sambi,
was good, by the way, man.
and
That's a
he
good
is going to be
signing.
a good player, and he's going
You
to be
can
a
see
good
it.
player. But I mean, the fact that you can outshine Xhaka, who's rocking the armband, like I mean, it just shows that Xhaka isn't at the levels, and the fact that we gave this guy another fucking contract is just so indicative of the level that Arsenal Football Club are operating at.
Right, right. No, 100%, 100%. So just to
So
sum it
yeah,
up though,
Arteta
like
out, man.
Arteta
Arteta
out for
fucking
sure,
out.
bro. 100%, 100%. I'm telling you, like I've seen enough of Arsenal in the past few, obviously last season, and then even the first 2 games. I thoroughly enjoyed Brentford Arsenal. That was fun to watch. And yesterday, I felt bad for you guys, man. There were times I was like, man, I was really hoping Arsenal took points off of Chelsea, just because
Yeah,
they
obviously.
could be one of our
I
direct
mean, yeah,
rivals this
and
year,
as
but.
fans, like we deserve better than Arteta as fans, man. I mean, we fucking been in a mess for years, and like you want someone like inspirational, like Klopp to come and like help you guide you out of this mess. Like when things just look like they're not going to get better, and
There's
we
so
need
many
like
good managers out there. Think like I don't think you'd be able to get Conte, but imagine if you got Conte. Like this team under Conte, I think
we
he
would
would push
thrive.
for
Yeah,
top four almost. You know how he's
hundred
a
percent. Yeah.
top manager. So there are just so many
And bro,
better.
we have very decent players. Conte would love working with some of the players we have. He could come and see this project as a project that he can really improve. I mean, you give him the kind of money you gave Arteta to spend, fuck yes, he'd want to
Hundred
come, man.
percent, yeah, 200
Give him
million, 100%.
130 million. Yeah, you tell him I'll give you 150 million to spend. I mean, the reason he left Inter was because they took all his like they wanted to sell all his best players. I mean, if you give him
Right,
that money to spend, like he'll love this project. Like, I mean,
right. I mean, he dethroned Juve with Inter.
exactly.
He's won everywhere he's gone. That's the thing. Like, no point sticking with a manager that has no pedigree whatsoever. And the evidence is on the pitch now. It's been long enough. So I agree. I think next week, do you have any expectations from the
No,
Etihad?
I mean, I didn't have expectations even before we lost our 2 games. I mean, that game was written off as an L now, even more so, man. I mean, just fucking, I just hope we don't get any injuries out of that game because we lost Tierney, we lost Martinelli, our fucking medical team, absolute goddamn joke every year.
Every year,
Players fucking dropping like cards.
right.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we don't get any injuries next week, we lose 6, 7, 8-0. I'm happy without any injuries.
I just hope that like he's obviously City are a very good side, right? I just hope that the fact that he was part of that, coaching setup, he knows the players at City well. At
Mate,
least he sets up defensively correctly. Just set up correctly defensively. Make sure you're solid at the back. Like
play five at the back, play whatever
play
three at the
whatever
back,
it
whatever you
takes,
want to call it.
keep it tight. Don't be down more than one goal by halftime. Like why can't
No, I mean that would have been a fair assessment if you're going to the bridge. I mean, against City, I guess it's very hard. And I mean, that was a game that we're going to lose either way, man. I mean, he just does not have what it takes to beat City. Even to set up with five at the back, like I really don't see us getting anything out of that.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Gotten
But
something.
City, I guess they obviously thrashed Norwich, but I still feel like they're not at their best at the moment. They still like that. This
It's
if you
Arsenal,
wanna,
bro.
yeah, it's Arsenal also. Arsenal are way off
Like,
this
I mean,
pace. Way
Chelsea
off.
would if Chelsea could fucking play us every week, and Lukaku, you give us the choice to play us every week, they'd play us every week, and they take that league.
Right. Oh, anyway, so you've seen better days, huh? For sure. This is probably the worst it's been. I think this is the worst Arsenal side I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
I mean, bro, because you're starting the season. I mean, at least you want some positivity going into a new season. That last season, we still didn't know what to expect, because Arteta just won us the FA Cup. We just won the Community Shield. We were still
Hmm.
positive going into the season. This season, I mean, it's just going. I mean, the fact that we've kept this manager is annoying. Um, I mean,
Hmm.
the business has been so underwhelming. Fucking biggest spenders with like nothing to goddamn show
Nothing
for
to
it.
show for it. Like you needed to buy
I
first
mean,
team players. You needed to buy
yeah,
players
I
that would
mean,
step into
Sambi,
the
apart
starting
from
11.
apart from Sambi and Erdegaard, like I think it's been a fucking average window. I have nothing against the players we've signed, but
Just
50,
not
50 million
exactly.
on Ben White, like no man, it's
He
just
may
like I
come
don't care
good,
how.
but he wasn't what you needed right away. He may become good,
Yeah,
right? But it wasn't the most
we have
urgent thing.
Saliba. We just spent 26 million on Saliba a couple of years ago. Why the fuck is he not playing? Why are we keeping holding in Pablo Mari and Kolasinac and players like that?
Right.
I mean, it's just madness, man. Torreira's apparently desperate to play for Arsenal, and fucking Arteta wants to keep El Neni and not him. Like, this
It
manager
just
is
doesn't
just
make any sense. Yeah. It
clueless.
just
Yeah,
clueless. Yeah. All right, fans. So I guess we'll be back next week again after the Etihad.
yeah.
I hope there's a miracle.
May as well use the same. You may as well use the same fucking interviews we do this week because it'll be the same complaints from next week.
I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure it will. But I hope you guys pull off a fucking miracle. All right, dude. Have a good one. We'll chat again next week.
Peace.